All right, good morning out there, Deep Run. Before I get started into today's lecture, which is basically going to be a review of your websites and some suggestions on how to proceed, I want to make sure I note to you that I will be traveling on Friday across the state for a meeting. So I will be gone most of the day Friday, and I'll be tied up with graduation activities Friday evening and a good chunk of the day Saturday. So if you email me regarding issues with your websites, it may take me a little longer than normal to get back to you with a solution. So keep that in mind, but keep working on your websites and doing what you can do. I still have some groups that are experimenting with themes. Remember, a lot of the themes are broken. You must use the MBS back office theme for the MBS back office page, and you can't use it for anything else. So don't try to apply that to your whole website or to any other page on your website. It will wreck it. Also, keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier in the semester, the classic themes, classic red or green or magenta or whatever, those are broken as well. Some of the required functionality was removed, but they didn't remove the themes from the menu. So avoid all of those classic themes if you're experimenting with themes. I highly recommend, if you're messing around with a theme, that you create a test page and try to apply the theme just to that test page. If you can apply it to the test page and it works, then you can apply it somewhere else. If you apply it to the test page and it crashes, it only crashes that page. So it's a very easy way to test a theme that you're considering using without wrecking your website. That might be really important as we have less and less time to recover from those kinds of errors. So keep in mind that I'll be traveling Friday and I'll be busy a good chunk of Saturday with graduation exercises, so it may take time to get back to you on some things. We're at the point in the semester where essentially we're building the websites and getting ready for you to display them. I've pretty much covered all of the content that I want to cover, and that's because your high school semester has many, many more contact hours than a university semester. You have longer class periods, and you meet 3 times a week, whereas my university classes meet for 75 minutes twice a week. So I plan content to fill up the university schedule, and then I just kind of have group work for you guys to fill in with the rest of the time to stretch the content out, essentially, to meet the longer high school semester schedule. So if it seems like we've run out of new content before the end of the semester, that's why. It's because the content is designed to fill a regular university semester. With that in mind, I'm going to bring up, say I am, there it is. Bring up your websites and go through them one by one and talk about some potential things that you can do. And even though I'm talking about all the websites, please pay attention. There's things that I might discuss about one website that's not yours that is going to apply to your website. So I'm going to start off with group 1 and look at their page. They got some good things going on here. They got a custom logo. They got some homepage information, which is great. It looks good. But do you want to stay on this page until the user does something, or do you want to make it more of a splash page and display it for a few seconds, whatever you think is appropriate, and then send them on to your online shop where you can actually buy stuff? That might be an option that you want to look at. I'm already logged in, so I see all of these items up here. But One thing you might notice is on the online shop menu, I have a catalog option, and that option is here as well. What does that catalog option really mean? Does it belong there? If I go to the online shop page, I get a category menu, I get a list of items. If I go to catalog, I don't get the same things. I get a list of cards, but I don't get the categories that I can do that. They also have a search set up here on the online shop page, but there's no search if I go to the catalog page. So it may be what you want to do is not have whatever this catalog page is intended to be. You might not want to have that visible. And so you can remove it from the menu via page management and not have that issue. If you want it here, and that's part of your scheme, that's fine. You can certainly have it there. It just seems a little odd to me. Let's talk about another option I want to talk about is look at some of your cards. If I look at the details on a card, I get a picture of the card. But what if I want to know what the back of the card looks like or the inside of the card looks like? A lot of cards have a message on the inside. I don't get any of that information. You know, all I get, well, it doesn't like me scrolling over that when I bring it up. But that's all right. That's not an issue with your website. But what if I wanted to do, say, a custom inscription on the card? How could I do that? Is there a way for me to notify you as the vendor and say, hey, I'd like you to print this custom inscription in the card? You know, and what if I wanted to see views of the inside and the back of the card? Would that be something that you could add? You might think about that. I do like the fact that you have product recommendations down here, but you might think of how else you could enrich the environment that your users are experiencing. So let me actually go back to your catalog and show you an example of how you might do this. I've added a custom field in here where the user for this card, by the way, if you're group 1 and you don't like this, I'm going to leave this here. If you don't like it, you can take it out. But make note of it that if you want to take it out, that I'm leaving it here. But you know, I put in a custom inscription. And I don't know if that's a cat, that's probably a fox. I put in a custom inscription and then I buy it. Let's see how that looks when I go to check out. What it does is it creates this additional field here with the inscription information that you could add to the card. You could do this, you could have a inside front inscription, inside back inscription, back inscription. You could customize that a lot of ways. Let's see how I did that in the back office. So what I'm going to do here is duplicate this tab and go into the back office. And go into this cartoon card that I modified, and I'm going to show you how I did that. I went down under options and I created an option on the left-hand side, and I just simply put inscription. But I could put, you know, inside front inscription or something like that if I wanted to. And I can add additional fields there if I wanted to have options for 2 or 3 different inscriptions. But that's what I did, and because I add this on the left-hand side with no information on the right-hand side, it just gives me a blank text field that I can add something to the site. So that's something for you to think about. Is that something you might use to enrich your website? And then I'm going to go ahead and check out here. And I see that you only have a default shipping option, and it doesn't look to be configured because there's no shipping amount set here. It looks like there's no tax. It looks like there's no option for discounts. I didn't see anything advertising any promotions. I could have missed it, but I didn't see that. So those are all things that you need to work on with your website. In addition to, I would highly recommend trying to build out your product catalog some more, and think about customization features you could offer. And I gave you one example, but think about those things. Think about whether or not you want this catalog thing to show here or not. But you're actually, compared to some of the other groups, you're not in bad shape. So those are some things you might want to look at. G1, whoever's G1. So if I go to G2, okay, I go to G2 and this is what I get, a blank home page. Probably not what you want your customers to see when you go to their website. If I go to somebody's website and I see this, I'm going somewhere else. I'm done with them at that point. If I go to the online shop, I see that they actually do have some products here. But why is, if you're going to have a home page, you need to develop it. If you're not going to have a home page, at the very least, have users go directly to the online shop. You do have a promotions tab, and I noticed that it has a one promotion listed here. It's pretty bland, it's just text, but it's better than nothing. But there's ways that you can make that look better. Create a graphic with that Journal 15 code in there, something like that. You have a very sparse product catalog. If I go to the pins category, I actually get more than pins. I get ink and pins. Maybe you should have an ink category. And maybe you should have more than one pin option. So there's a lot of opportunity to build out this product catalog and do more with it. Another thing you might consider is most pins, when you buy them, maybe they come in a silver finish or a gold finish or a colored finish, red finish or blue finish or something like that. So you might have different submodels of this pin that people could select. And they might all be the same price, and they might be different prices. And the way you would handle that depends on whether they're the same price or different prices. Keep that in mind. I'll show you an example of that later on one of the other sites. But let's say I buy a pin, go to my basket. Hey, I already got some ink in there. And I have to log in. And I'll use this information. And I have some shipping options. Shipping is applied. A discount is applied, interestingly enough. Oh, I already had it. I was messing around with this earlier. I already put the Journal 15 discount in there, and you can see that it's applied. And so I had 2 items in my cart that totaled $30, and I got the 15% discount off of that. My shipping, what I might note is that the shipping rates seem a little unrealistic. If I change this to 1-day shipping, it's going to cost me $100. I don't know that I've had a lot of things shipped overnight. I don't know that I've ever paid $100 to ship a pen overnight or something small overnight. You might want to do a little research in the real world and see what shipping rates are and try to get close to that range of what a realistic shipping rate is. But you do have shipping rates, they are working. You don't appear to be collecting any tax, so that's something for you to work on, is how to set up the tax. And you know, between fixing the tax, adjusting your shipping rates, building out your product catalog, you're in a pretty good place. You've got a start on promotions. You need to work on the homepage though. That's an area where you could use some additional work. Not too bad. Popcorn Hub, now we're in a little different story. I'm going to log in. And yikes, I get a home page that's actually their page management page. I think I had to reset their page for them and fix that. But I don't see anything set up. I don't see under the admin menu, I don't see an MBS back office page. I don't see any of the items here that I would expect to see along the top line menu for the DNN, or not DNN, for the MB store setup. And it's not only that I don't see them here, looking in page management, they just don't exist. So you guys need to go through that MB store setup manual, and you really need to get on the ball, because I would say you're in grave danger of failing the course at this point, unless you make a marked improvement over the next week and a half that you've got left to build this thing. If you fail the course, keep in mind that it's a university level grade, and probably the only graded course that you take. You'll get credit for your AP exams, but you won't get a grade in them. And so when you go to apply for college admission, you'll have one grade from this course, or maybe two grades, one from Dr. Marmerstein's course and one from my course. And if you got an A in his course and you fail my course, you might have a 2.0 average, which might not be able to get you admitted to the university of your choice. So don't put yourself in that position. You need to get on this and get working on it and go through that setup guide right now, because this is worth a 30-year grade for the course, and most everybody in here, if you did extremely poorly on this, would be in danger of failing the course. So you don't want to do that. Group 4, you have a few things going on here. You have a custom logo. The custom logo doesn't look too bad here. On some of the other pages, though, it doesn't look so good. And then on the online shop page where I'm at now, I see nothing, which means you probably have some issues here. I don't think you have, if I remember correctly, you don't have a MBS back office module set up. You can't add products because you don't have that. So you also need to get busy and go through the MB store setup and get really serious about making some progress here, because you're way behind where you need to be at this point. And just to reinforce this, if you're planning to do your e-commerce website in Wix or GoDaddy or some other platform, you cannot do that. You must do it in this platform so that everybody's on an equal playing field. Make sure you get in here and get busy in the next day or so, because you guys are you got a lot to do in a week and a half. I mean, a lot. Phones Galore, G6, has a website set up. They've got quite a few products in their catalog. They also have this details item here that really shouldn't show according to the setup guide for the store. If you click on it, brings up a list of products. And if you want to do that, that's fine. You can do that. But there should be a good business reason why you're doing that. Because what you don't see here is your product categories where you can look at a particular category like Android or iPhone or something like that. Where here I have brand names. You might consider whether that's the only kind of categories you want. You can nest these categories, so you could have, say, Android and iPhone, and then under iPhone you could have a brand of Apple, which is actually the brand, and maybe the others are all Android. It's kind of a bad form item to say list other brands by brand name and then list iPhone. It should actually be Apple if you're going to do it this way. So something to keep in mind. Looks like you have a search function here. I haven't tried it. There you go, it works. You got search functionality working. Good on you. Let's go look at an individual product. Notice you have different options here. The way you got them configured is fine because they're all the same price. I can just pick the color I want and add it to my basket. And you've got some pretty good information down there about the products. If I go to my basket, I've got a couple of things in there. I'm going to check out. And I've actually been messing around with your shipping options. Notice that your shipping options are not calculating a shipping price, no matter which one I select. You might notice that the order here is different. I messed around with that order a little bit, and I'm going to go in after I finish this lecture and try to look at Group 6's shipping issue a little more, because I've already looked at it, and it does appear to be configured correctly. Let me go over here. I didn't see any obvious errors in your shipping options. When I look at them, actually this one does have a problem right now. Which one did I look at before? All the shipping information appears to have gotten lost. There was shipping information in here earlier, and I don't know what happened to it. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll let you guys go ahead and fix this. What I had to do was change. I know one reason why you're shipping this. It may be what caused the information to get lost. Is what I had to do. One of the problems, and other groups are going to want to pay attention so you don't run into this, is I had to go in and change the plugin reference name for all of your shipping items because they had spaces. You cannot have a space in the plugin reference field, and all of yours had spaces in there, and so I had to fix them all. And I didn't realize that when I fixed the plugin reference name, it dumped all of the data out of there. So you might be able. I looked at your data before I made that change, and the data all looked correct, but that was a definite error. Let's try one of those. Actually not there. Now that I see that it's dumped the data, I think you had some invalid country codes as well, but I don't remember right now. But I add a reference down here for I want to keep that in mind. You're going to want to add those. This list isn't going to be correct because I don't remember what all you had in there, but you had some invalid country codes, and then I'm going to put US here, and I'm going to say, I'm just going to do this real quickly. You'll have to modify it. So I put something in there. So let's see if I put that in there, if it's actually going to work when I select that. And so I think the one I picked was, okay, still didn't apply it. There's some sort of issue there. I'll try to go in, and I don't remember what data you had in here. It's one-day shipping. Oh, you know what? I may need to do that by price. I didn't select a radio button there. Still not displaying. I don't want to spend too much time during the lecture working on that. I know you guys are having some shipping issues. I know one part of the problem was the spaces in the plug-in reference names. Make sure you don't do that. I don't know, I don't think I've ever had anybody do this before. I don't know if the dash, this display name doesn't mean anything. That's not going to affect it. But what I don't know is if the dash in here in the one-day shipping plug-in name is causing a problem. I might have to experiment with that. I actually have one-week shipping that doesn't do that. Let me do this. Take this data. I can do this pretty quick. I'm just going to leave that for a minute. And so this one does not have a dash in the plugin name. We'll see if that affects it. And usually what I find is the best way to get those to work is to do this. And if I select 1 week, no, still not working. So I'll have to work on that a little bit and see why that's not working. But I know the spaces in the plugin reference names were a problem. So I'm aware of that. I will try to figure that out for you guys at some point. I didn't see any promo codes or any other kind of advertised sales on your website, so think about those kind of issues. And it looks like you don't have any tax being collected, which is going to be an issue as well. So you got several things there to work on. So now let's go on to group 7. And I get a blank home page here. Not really sure if you want to have that. If I go to that website as a user and I see that blank home page, I'm off to somebody else's website. I'm not going to even mess around with that. Just so you know that I'm logged in as a super user. I see this admin menu here. If it's only when you're logged in as a super user, like now I don't see it. If it's only logged in when you're an admin user or super user, that's fine. As long as a regular customer isn't seeing that. When I go to the online shop, I see the shelves for a couple of products here, but you've got a lot of work to do. I get very concerned when I see no products that have images in your product catalog. Sometimes images can be a problem, and we have to do some fixes to that. And so at your earliest opportunity, I'd try to at least upload an image for one of these products and set it up and make sure that the images display properly. They're displaying, as you can see, for the other groups, so we can make them work, but there's just not a lot here yet. So you guys got a lot of work to do to build out your catalog, and I'm pretty sure that although I didn't try buying anything on your website earlier, I'm pretty sure you're probably going to have a lot of the issues I've already mentioned for other groups to worry about as well. You don't have any countries enabled to purchase from? That's going to be a problem. I can't even check out. So you guys haven't even tested your checkout functionality because you can't. You haven't enabled anything in your back office. So that's as far as you can get on your website right now. You can fix that in the back office. It's part of the store configuration. Under the countries, you can enable the countries that you want to allow to work. For example, if I click on US and save that, I may now be able to, if I refresh this, let's see if I can do this. See, now I have United States here, and I can move past that. So something you missed in the MB Store setup, because that was part of the setup. And then you do have, I got a discount because the item was on sale. That's one type of discount. You need other types of discounts like promo codes. I didn't see anything related to that on your website. I don't see anything other than the default shipping option, which isn't actually configured, or any tax. So you got a lot to work on there. Not much time to do it because you got about a week and a half to do everything that needs to be done. Group 8, got kind of a funky retro website going on here. They've got a custom background, but we're still seeing this default content from DNN. You probably either want to get rid of that or have users not go to this page and go directly to your online shop, or maybe you're developing some custom stuff you want to put on here, or doing something with that other than what's here. The background is fine. It makes sense for your website. I don't have any issues with that. You got some products in your catalog. It's still a little thin. You have some, when I go here, I don't have any categories to search by. It looks like you didn't add the product category module to the web page. I would expect to see that. I didn't test your search. I would have thought I would have got Michael Jackson by doing that, but I didn't. But let me try one more time, and it doesn't go to the right place. Doesn't go to the right thing. Now I got to get back to my catalog. That's a problem. Put a wild card in there, see if it does anything. So your search has some I'm probably going to have to clear my browser cache in order to get back to your online catalog. Try that. There it is, clear data. Clear all of that. See if that fixed my issue here. Now I can get back to my product catalog. So if I look at your products, it makes sense that a lot of your products don't have sub-options because they're kind of individual things and they're retro things. So that's fine, and you've got a description down there. You might think about what are people going to want to know about this item? Is there more I should be providing as far as information goes? But you got a good start there. When I looked at records, to me, if I'm buying one Michael Jackson record, I might want to find other records that are in that same genre or by the same artist. And so I might like to see those as recommended items down here at the bottom of this product detail page. But I don't see that right now. So you might think about those things and how you can make it a richer experience for your site visitors. There's a lot of things related to these that you might, to like the record players. You got 3 record players. Maybe you have replacement needles for them or something like that. Or maybe you have record cleaning kits or something related to the records. So think about those things and what else you can add here to build out your product catalog, make your store more viable, fix your search functionality. I think you'll find that if you go back and watch the lecture that I did on the search, you'll be able to do that. So I'm going to try to buy something here. Doesn't like my enter key. It wants me to to click on the inner button for whatever reason. And when I go here, I see no shipping options set up, nothing working there, no tax collected. I didn't really see options for promotions or discounts in either things that are on sale in the back office or promo codes or anything like that. So you got a lot of different things to work on there. And group 9, the last group. You probably don't want to have this login here. You probably want to do something with that. I put that there at one point for you. When you wrecked your home page, I put that there. I know how that login module got there, but you probably want to get used to it because get rid of it because that's pretty ugly. So you need to do that a different way. You have your login functions up here now, so you could do that a different way. But when I go to your online shop, I see products, and I see a couple of categories, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pick one of these and look at the details on it. And notice this group has multiple images that I can look at related to their, I say I can. Not sure why it's doing that, but they do have multiple images that I can pull up related to their products. But look at the way they listed their products here. They've got several different sizes of the same box, and that's not a problem. That's actually probably a good thought on how to do this. But this really only works well when they're all the same price. And so if I had something that had colors or sizes and they were all the same price, this is a great way to do this. It doesn't work quite so well when they have varying prices. It does work, but if I pick, say, Maya's box $27 and I add it to my cart, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll go to the basket in a minute and show you that. But look down here at the bottom. It lists a list of modules, and it shows all the sizes as $9. So there's a flaw in DNN that it puts this wrong information here, and you can't really get rid of it the way it's set up. If I go to the basket, we can see that it charged me the right amount, so that's good. But it didn't show up correctly in the product detail page. And this group has some shipping options set up here. I thought they were working, but maybe not. Anyway, but I know they've been working on that. I haven't seen any tax being collected. I got a discount that was programmed into the MBS back office, so that's working. I'm gonna go into their back office and look at something real quick. We'll look at their shipping options under the plugins menu, and here they have their, notice they have no spaces in their thing here. I'm going to actually, I I think for whatever reason, it likes to have this standard shipping, the original shipping plugin, higher in this list. And then I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go under the tools menu, and I'm going to validate their store. And then I'm going to go see if their shipping options work. And they still don't work, so I got to figure out what's going on with that. One more thing I can try is to restart their website. Sometimes that helps. I was pretty sure this group had their shipping options working. We did see some others that had the shipping options working. Now I only have 2 shipping options showing up. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll have to spend a little bit of time investigating that. But what I wanted to show you actually was going back to the online shop, another way to set up the product options. We saw in Maya's box the way this group set up their product options using those radio boxes, and then this really ugly thing down here that doesn't show up correctly for the modules. Another way you can do that, the way they set that up is they entered multiple models here and set the prices for them, and then set the sale price, and it just shows up with that first one for whatever reason for all of the models, and that's something that we really can't fix. But what we can do is, instead of configuring them as models, I went into Naomi's box, and instead of using the models option, they had multiple models in here. I apologize, Naomi, if I messed you up. If you want it back the way it was, you'll have to fix it. But I went into the models, and I removed all of the models except for one, Naomi's box, and I set the retail price to 0 and the sale price to 0. And then I went down under the options menu, and I added a size option on the left-hand side, and then I added 4 sub-options on the right-hand side. You have to add this on the left-hand side before you can add the options on the right-hand side. It just won't let you do it unless you do this first. So I added a size option, and then I added individual at $9, regular at $13.50, etc., etc. And then I saved that. Let's see what that does if I look at how it looks different on Naomi's box instead of Maya's box. So if I go in here and look at this, I have Naomi's box, and then I pick a size, and it tells me that's going to cost you an extra $9 or an extra $45 if I want the party size. And if I buy it, notice now it doesn't have that list down here showing all the sizes as being $9, which is kind of misleading to a customer. And so I buy that, and I go to the basket, and you can see the $45 item shows up correctly in the basket. And it shows over here that I'm ordering the party size. So that's a different way that you can do sizes that have different, especially if the sizes have different prices. If the sizes are all the same price, I would probably do it the way that this group did originally with models. But if the sizes have different prices, or the models have different prices, I recommend this second method over the first method. All right, this lecture's getting kind of long. I want to cut it off here. Several of the groups have a lot of work to do and not very much time to do it, and so you're quite in danger of getting poor grades if you don't get to where you need to be. So work on that. Send me emails if you have questions, things I need to figure out. And keep in mind that I won't be available most of the day, Friday and or Saturday. Other than that, I will be watching for your emails and responding to them as soon as I can. All right, get to work on your websites, and don't forget about Project 4. Short turnaround on that as well. And that's it.